Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We're talking all about the upcoming SmackDown move. It was announced today that SmackDown will be moving live to Tuesday nights. And on these shows, basically Shane McMahon will be taking over as the SmackDown GM, which will sort of, I guess, spawn off hopefully a SmackDown versus Raw sort of a feel. If you were a wrestling fan back in 2002 when they did the Vince versus Ric Flair SmackDown versus Raw split with the draft, it was a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan. Honestly, the way that they split up the rosters was a very fun way with a Monday Night Raw draft. Even with the later incarnations of the draft, near the end where it wasn't really somebody coming out there and picking somebody like a real draft would be, and they just put the thing on the screen and it went doo 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 doo, and finally somebody popped up on the screen like they were actually spinning a casino, slot machine or something like that. It felt like it was really planned out, and of course it's wrestling, so it is planned out. But I liked it even when they had the balls and the tumbler, and the GM picked the name out, and you picked whoever the ball was. That seemed like it was a little bit less planned out, especially with that one where Triple H got drafted to SmackDown, and then he ended up getting traded back for a whole bunch of guys. But I'll tell you honestly, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people out there making videos, making it say that, SmackDown is going to be watchable again, and this is a good move for WWE. I'm worried about this move. I don't think this is the best move. Honestly, SmackDown hasn't been watchable. Well, I guess you can say it's been watchable. There's good matches on there if you watch it. But, I mean, SmackDown hasn't been must-watch TV, honestly, in a long time. And them putting this live is going to have a higher cost on it, but it's also going to have expectations that come along with it. But how many times have we seen where there's a move to SmackDown, whether if it moves networks, it moves times, it moves days, and they try to make it seem like this is the biggest show of all time. I believe it was SmackDown moved from Fridays to Thursdays, and that was supposed to help it out. And I believe around that time, they gave it a few big matches. I think Daniel Bryan returned around that time. And then, of course, they had it where SmackDown moved from Sci-Fi to USA. Or even the best thing to think about is, when Main Event got kicked off. Main Event was a time that it was a good television show for 2 weeks. Undertaker versus Matt Hardy. John Cena versus Ted DiBiase. Shane McMahon had a match on Main Event, and then after 3 weeks, Jobber Central. Throw the Big Show out there, throw Chris Masters out there, what's Jinder Mahal got going on. And I know that they'll always have guys on there. And if there's a brand split, and there actually are guys on there, there are people that are going to get featured. And that normally wouldn't get featured. A guy like Jack Swagger, a guy like Curtis Axel, Bo Dallas. Guys like this are going to have matches, and they're going to be a bigger part of the company. They might not be on pay-per-view, but at least you get to see them wrestle week in and week out, whether on Raw or whether on SmackDown. But my biggest thing is the thing that people complain about with wrestling right now is there's too much of it. There's too much Raw. There's too much SmackDown. There's too many hours. I mean, think about it. If you watch Raw, you watch SmackDown, you're giving 5 hours a week on 2 different days. Now they're asking for those 5 hours on back-to-back days, Mondays and Tuesdays, tied up with wrestling. I think people would go to those live SmackDowns that they do once or twice a year. I think they've cut it back to doing it only once a year last year. Doing it with WWE Week on USA is what it was. I think they do it the week of Christmas. And I don't know. I just don't see this being a big help, especially right now with so many people being negative on wrestling. I've talked about it in my past 2 videos. The only thing I really care about in wrestling right now is AJ Styles and the Club with Luke Gallows and Machine Gun Carl Anderson. Everything else is just sort of wishy-washy. It is what it is. And They just broke up on Monday. So what the fuck do I care about now? So we'll see what goes down with this. Shane moving and being in charge of SmackDown, I don't think is the biggest push to get behind this. But maybe it'll turn into Stephanie versus Shane, them going back and forth, sort of like Stephanie versus Eric Bischoff. But I'm guessing we're not going to be getting the Triple H versus Shane match that I thought we'd be getting at SummerSlam or somewhere down the road.